Subscribers and fans, Iceman here. Nice to see you guys again. But I just saw the film Godzilla vs. Mothra. What the hell is the other part of that title? The Battle for Earth. Interesting film. Pretty damn cool. A lot of monster action as well. These kaiju monsters battle it out. It's badass. But it starts out with this main character dude who goes into some temple. He's a thief, right? And he steals this little relic. And the relic's on a pedestal. And of course, he forgets to, like, switch it with a rock, right? Because the pedestal can sense weight. So he just takes the damn thing, this little golden figurine. And then the pedestal goes up, and all sorts of shit goes down to where the cave, or the little temple that he's in, or tomb, starts to cave in and shit. So the guy barely escapes with his life, and he gets busted. But he ends up being like the main character. He's a thief. And then what happens shortly after is this typhoon hits. And it uncovers this large egg, this big-ass egg. And on what is Infant Island, is what it's called. Which is really weird. Because it's kind of metaphorical, because that's where Mothra is, you know? That's where the egg is, on Infant Island. So who the hell called this island Infant Island? Because whoever did, they know the secrets. They knew what to expect, these ancient folks. So it should be investigated. Who the hell deemed this island that name? Because those people know something. And that's never really approached so much. But we do find out some cool things. Check this out, because then that main character and his friends, they go to that island. They cross a big-ass bridge, and they enter a cave. And in this cave, they find paintings of Mothra and Batra. It's pretty damn cool. Then something really mystical happens. These little fairies approach them. These little tiny chicks. They're like this big. Maybe, probably smaller, like this big. And they start blabbling. They blabble about that egg, and they tell them about it. They say that some crazy shit's going down now because of how civilization is, modern day civilization. Something to do with the cosmos and shit not being pleased with them. And Batra was created by these ancient folks and is coming to fight Mothra. Who is Mothra, a defender of the earth, right? She is. Actually, she is. We know she is. Because we find this out later. Some weird dynamics going on here, though. Because what then goes down is they take the Mothra egg to Japan. But on the way, Godzilla meets them at the sea. And he starts blowing his atomic breath at the egg. And the egg pops open. Mothra comes out in her yucky little larvae state. Nasty little slimy bug. And her and Godzilla start to fight. Why? I don't really get it. I thought that Godzilla cared about the earth as well. Isn't Godzilla a preserver of the earth and stuff like that? Because he and Mothra are fighting. Mothra's all hiding behind the ship that carried her egg, spewing her little webbing stuff at Godzilla. Godzilla's blowing the crap out of it with his atomic breath. So they're trying to kill each other. Why? I don't really understand that. Can someone explain that to me in the comments? Why are they fighting? I thought they were both defenders of the earth. But nonetheless, Batra comes forth. Now, Bathra's in their larvae state as well. But Batra looks pretty badass in that state, because it has a big horn on its head that it can blast lightning bolts from. Which is what it does. It starts blasting these bolts at Godzilla. And there's this awesome battle going on. These old films rock because there's so much monster action. I think it's partly because they're like folks in costumes and little mechanical things. So they're really trying to get their money's worth with these costumes and mechanical things that they made. As opposed to today, where it's CGI. And the more you have them on screen, the more and more expensive it gets, because there's so much work that has to go into making it believable and realistic with the CGI things. But hopefully we get more monster action in the upcoming Godzilla 2 King of Monsters film, which I think we will. because there wasn't that much in the Godzilla 2014. But I digress, because Godzilla and Batra now battle, and it's an awesome battle. They make their way underwater, and they're blasting the crap out of each other underwater. And I didn't know Godzilla could shoot his breath underwater, but he certainly can. And they make it to the bottom of the ocean, and they're just beating the shit out of each other. So much that it causes this underwater volcanic eruption. And they basically are off the radar now. And I think some of the people who are tracking them, the military and stuff, they think that they're dead. But that's a pretty cool battle. One of my favorites so far that I've seen in the Godzilla universe. You guys got to check this film out. It's really cool. So then what happens from there is, let's see, they go underwater, the volcano quake thing happens. Now the Cosmo chicks get stolen. The little fairy chicks who talk about Mothra. And they make their way to the city, and these rich folks steal them. These big businessmen that are like the enemies of the film or something. But they have in possession these little fairy chicks, and they're in like their headquarters. And the fairy chicks start calling for Mothra. Now this is interesting because I thought Mothra was like a good guy or good girl. But it's kind of funny because these Cosmo fairies I thought sort of the same about. But yet they're calling for Mothra, and Mothra starts crashing through the city, causing all sorts of destruction. Shit's just blowing up all around Mothra, and Mothra bursts through a bridge. All in the aims of finding these little fairy chicks. And Mothra finds them, fortunately. But there's a lot of catastrophe at stake because of it. I thought that was kind of humorous. Because, yeah, these fairy chicks, the Cosmo chicks, and Mothra seemed good, and I always thought they were good. But all this damage was done because of them. But granted, it was perhaps for a greater good, a better cause, which is the preservation of the Earth. So who knows? But they end up finding them. And then Mothra goes to the Capitol building and starts to build a cocoon. And then Mothra hatches from the cocoon. Then Godzilla comes by, and they start fighting and shit. Here they go again, Godzilla and Mothra fighting. And Batra comes in. And Godzilla starts fighting both of them. I don't understand why the hell these dynamics are going on. But maybe the monsters just hate each other. They just want to fight. I don't know. But Batra and Mothra are kicking Godzilla's ass. To the point where they basically knock him out. And they start carrying him to sea. Like I assume they're just going to dump him in the sea and drown him or something. But Godzilla starts biting at Batra's neck when they're flying overseas. Then Godzilla spews his breath out at Batra. And kills the damn thing. This is while they're both carrying him out to sea. So Mothra lets go. Godzilla and Batra fall to the sea. And everyone thinks they're dead. And everyone's happy. But here's the interesting part. After this occurs, Mothra just goes and hangs out with the lands, and the little fairy chicks communicate with Mothra, and they talk about happy things and stuff. But the military asks, what of Batra? What happened to them? And the fairy chicks, Cosmo fairy chicks, tell them that he's dead. And they say that this is concerning because Batra was actually put there to stop a meteorite that's coming toward the Earth. And it should hit in about 8 years. So this is startling news, right? This is shocking. Like shit. The Earth is headed for a doomsday. And Batra was apparently meant to save it. But I thought Batra was supposed to be the opposition of Mothra. But apparently they both had a good cause. Right? But then this is the good news, apparently. As Mothra made a promise to Batra. Right before Batra died, apparently. They were communicating. And the promise was that Mothra will now seek out this meteorite up in space and deflect it. So that's what we're left with as the plot. is Godzilla and Batra are, like, we don't know where. We don't know if they're dead or what. But they're off the scene now. And they were just beating the shit out of each other. And now Mothra's taking on the role to deflect this meteorite. It's kind of confusing. Because the Cosmo girls were talking about how humanity and modern day civilization pissed off nature or something. And that's why Mothra's hatching. But I thought Batra was put there in opposition to Mothra. Someone explain this to me if you could. But there might be some mystical thing between Batra and Mothra to where they complement each other. Where it's not necessarily straight up evil versus straight up good. It's some sort of complementary companionship that is substantial by nature and necessary for the preservation of the earth. It's something like that, I think. Which is kind of interesting because I don't really see Batra as the massive evil that I was under the assumption that Batra was. I don't really see that anymore if it was actually supposed to help deflect this meteorite in order to save the Earth. But yeah, some crazy shit going on with all these kaijus fighting each other constantly. And Godzilla, just a reckless rogue, apparently, that's just blasting the crap out of the military in this film. Just trying to kill Mothra before it even gets out of the egg. And then when it does, in its little larvae vulnerable state, Godzilla's still trying to kill it. And then Godzilla tries to kill Batra as well. Yeah, Godzilla's a badass, and apparently he doesn't give a shit. But anyway, that's kind of my review and summary of this film. What do you guys think of it? Have you seen it? And am I onto something with all this, or did I get something wrong? I mean, I'm pretty sure I perceived it correctly, but I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on these matters, and like this damn video if you haven't yet. For I am the Iceman. Peace be with you.